Hi. I've been meaning to record this. I did record this kind of video before, but I wasn't really convinced by the end result. But now that the later rounds of the Black and White Cup are available, currently in round 7, but I wanted to use this round as an example. Also, I should probably have the Black and White World Cup thread open too. I'll do that as I speak. But yeah, I think we have a big issue with this tier, and like it's like what alarmed me the most is that we have people very late in rounds that are winning with samples. Uh, and I think, and by the way, this is not me throwing jabs at the players. I think if they have made it this far, it's because they are indeed good players, and it has nothing to do with their building skills. I think Black and White OU is not the most inviting tier to build in. It is extremely hard. You have to put a lot of effort into actually managing to, if you want to build something new. That's the issue. If you want to, it is easier to put 6 months of like from the viability ranks, the top six from the viability ranks. You can put them together, and it's probably a functional team. Then I mean, then there's the aspect of uh, putting those viable months together in a cohesive way, but that's another matter altogether. But it's possible. But if you want to be an outlier in this tier and actually innovate, then you're gonna find yourself, you're gonna encounter yourself with a rude awakening, and it's just very hard. So I completely understand why people would be put off from trying to get involved with this tier. It is not to say that it is bad. I enjoy it a lot. Ever since I came back to playing Pokemon, I've been mostly just playing that and some auras, and that's it. But I've definitely found joy in playing Black and White, and I've been actively building as much as possible. But it is hard. It is hard, and I am someone that actually, takes his time in trying to trying to make good teams. And even then, most of the time, I'm not very successful. So I completely get it. I think it's very different from the later gens, in which, well, you can, you can say, okay, yeah, I can build a core. I can come up with a team with this fun core that is, very funny. You can come up with many different cores and, build teams upon that. And it's really cool because it's like you get to work on your own unique mm, thesis, Whereas in Black and White, you cannot really do that. I think you have to go for an archetype more so. And I think most of those currently find themselves very established. So people will either, like, this is the sample, okay, the sample thread. And what happens is that a lot of the teams that you see currently, they are either like people either bring the exact same copy pastes from the samples, or they will bring a variant with a one or two different months from that. Like if you go into this spread, okay, so we have Venetia. I don't know who Venetia is. They've made it fun into the tour, so that means that they are a good player. That's how I see it. So you open, you see this, and you go here. It's here. They seem to have won this. This has, let's see the sets. Like, I believe there shouldn't be any change to this. No, there isn't any changes to the sets. This is an available team that a player has used to make it far into a Black and White tournament, an official one at that. You go into game two, and you have Conkel weatherless offense, which, I mean, this is very much a variant. The sample one has Terrakion and Dragonite, but you can run Lando and Latias because the concept is also to have double healing wish for the Conkeldurr. But this is also a team This is a variant of a team that is readily available here. You can you here is another one. These two are very much variants of that team. Then, like for instance, you go in here, you have Exiline. Here it is. You open this replay. Game 2. There it is. And I'm not trying to say, by the way, this is not a wrong thing to do. These are very solid teams, solid and established teams, and this is a competitive game. People want to win, and in order to win, you need the best tools in order to do so. So it is normal that people will employ already available good teams for this, but it is very much a shame that the people that go into this tier don't really build in it at all. I don't know, I think it's kind of disheartening. I myself, by the way, I myself have used some of the samples as well. If you go, I do build my teams, but I sometimes use some of the samples, like in my series against Monai, first team I bring, by the way, just for you to just for this is for me to be like, not be like, oh, I'm so different, I'm not like other girls, no, it's not like this. I do bring, this is my own variant of the team, by the way. I put the 6 together, but then I just kind of edited it so that I can apply it to Monai. So I did this, game 2 is actually more original of mine, and then game 3 I brought this, but once again I edited the team so that I can apply it to my opponent, who mains black and white. But yeah, but what I think is it's kind of a mistake to have this thread here. Now it's kind of it's here. There isn't really any way to delete this, but it's I think between the fact that we don't particularly black and white doesn't really invite you to build much. As I said, it is a hard tier to build in, because you will usually find yourself you're not threatened by offensive threats like you would in fairy gens and stuff like that. You are threatened by whole ass archetypes. You can get overwhelmed by spike stack, you can get overwhelmed by size spam, you can get overwhelmed by rain with the staffs, you can get overwhelmed by, there's some individual threats like Conkeldor, Specs Latios, Thunderous, Volcarona. All these things you have to take into account when you build your team. And the thing is that the pool of Pokemon that allow you to circumvent those issues is very limited, and that with years, now that there hasn't been any tiering decision in a while, with the years, well, the tier has been more or less optimized. Do I believe that there's a chance that it will change in the future? Probably, but it will be very slow, because there isn't really an incentive to build. I think we might see some change in the upcoming SPL, but regarding the current tournaments, people aren't really building. If you go here, let's go into this thread. I haven't checked the replays entirely, but if I go here, for sure, Phosphor actually builds his own team, so he's probably bringing some wild stuff. Oh, these are really cool original teams. I kind of like them. See, this is cool. Let's see. Pink Hail. Yes, I did cover this replay, but this is an RMT. This is in the RMT section. This wasn't built by this player, and this is I think I said it was a dice, but I think it's ABR team. Well, neither of these players built that team. Then we go in here. I could go. I believe these teams are on the. Are these in the samples? Probably. Yes. Here's one, and here's the other one. So, um, rain is also like very much like it's kind of hard to build rain as well. Uh, but yeah, as I said, like there isn't really. It is not as strange that people aren't really building. Here we go. Uh, this is here. You can between these two. This is a variant of that, and well, Magnus on sand. It's kind of I would say this is more or less outdated. People don't really use Magnus zone anymore in sand. It is not a bad concept though. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, this is the point that I wanted to make. Then how do we solve this? I don't particularly know. It's just I have so I have commented before. These are the issues that I think lie within the tier currently. One of them is Psi Spam Magic Art. Think this ability is very busted in the tier. Do I think it needs a ban? Hard question, because then spikes become like they abuse the spikes, but they also help against spikes teams because the removal in black and white is horrid. When it comes to like Starmie and Excadrill, they would rather be clicking offensive move rather than be clicking the rapid spin. That's how it is. Fortress is a good spinner. Now that Magnezone isn't really used much, I think that's a actually good spinner that does its thing well. There's Tentacruel as well, but both of them get fucked by Jellicent, so that's another thing. Then we have Latios. Latios is a very stronger Draco Meteor user in the tier, but if you remove it, then Reuniclus, Conkeldurr, Keldeo become stronger. Like Thunderous, I actually don't have much. This one I think can go, but then I also believe that Ferrothorn becomes stronger in rain, maybe, if you remove this one, because he does abuse Ferro, kinda, if it doesn't explode in it. Though, I don't know. If there were to be a suspect on this thing, I would probably vote ban, though. I don't particularly like facing it. Then Volcarona and Quiver Dance. This is something that I have brought up before, in that you can. I do believe that they could implement a clause in which they ban moves that boost 3 stats, like Cell Smash and Quiver Dance, and I mean, I think Coil also goes into that category, but Coil isn't really used in the tier, so I'm not sure if that would, be an acceptable thing to do. Like, I don't think people are. I don't think people are crying out there because they might get their Coil Superior banned from black and white overuse, So that's one possibility I could see. Like, I think keeping Volcarona isn't a bad thing, though, because I think if you remove Volcarona, removing a fire type from the tier is actually like a tough thing. Like a tough. Yeah, it would be tough for the tier because we have Ferrothorn. We don't have many viable fire types in the tier currently, given that Ferrothorn, given that Sun isn't really good. Like, Sun teams are pretty bad these days, and oh my god, I drew this. This is such a good art. But Sun teams are mid. They are not very good. They are very hard to build and so yeah, the fire types aren't really thriving. Other than Volcarona, you have Hitran and the occasional Victini that you see sometimes, but it is not the most viable mon, though. Yeah. So I think that banning Quiver Dance but still keeping Volcarona would be a good. I think it would be a good move, in my opinion. I think Volcarona without Quiver Dance is still a very viable mon. Volcaron also helps with Reuniclus, keeps Reuniclus in check. So, and Conkeldurr. Volcaron does wall Conkeldurr, unless it's running Stone Edge, which they never do. So, anyway. Then I said Scald. Yeah, I'm BKC pilled, but yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting to see a Scaldless metagame. But that would be even worse for Politoed, and like Ferrothorn would become even more threatening. Yeah, but I don't think this is the main. I don't think this is like a priority. I think Skull's stupid, but I don't think it's a priority. And then complex spanning Sandrush Excavator. I want this back. I want this guy back so bad. I would love to have Stoutland back. I think if we could have the Sandrushers back, it would be somewhat positive for the tier, because you get Mon, that hovers over, the Alakazam speed tier, which is very good. A pursuit that it has pursuit. It can revenge kill Volcarona and Dragonite if it's locked in Outrage and yada yada yada. Like it's a cool Mon. I think I would appreciate it actually if they did something with this, but yeah, these are just suggestions that I have made. But the issue also is that those who play Black and White cannot agree on anything. We cannot agree on one singular thing that we want to target these days. I think with like Gothitelle and Dactrio, it was kind of anonymous, but with these issues, it's just, I don't know. There are people that are actually content with how the tier is currently, and valid. I don't take it against them. So yeah, like if you try to bring up any of these issues, then you'll have someone and be like, oh my god, but actually there's no issue with Black and White, because if you do this, then and honestly, then you realize, then you're like, okay, what's the point? And like you'll have multiple people bringing up their points of view, and no one will agree on anything. They'll call you lazy or not wanting to deal with those takes in your team builder. And that's also why people don't want to build in this tier, because it's like, I mean, I am biased. I do enjoy building stuff in Black and White. I think it's fun. It's a fun tier, but I'm not surprised. I also see the point of view of people who don't really want to, and also the fact that we have the fact that we have this, and people actually people win with these teams. Like, these are good teams that I myself have used in tournaments as well. Like sometimes, like for instance, in my ROAPL run, what the modus operandi that I went for was like building a team, stealing a team for maybe one of the samples, or revamping one of my old teams. That's kind of like how I went about it, and it was good. It was a good thing for me to do. But these are teams that people have available, and they can run in tournaments, and they can make it far into the Black and White Cup, because this I made this video because I saw these replays now. Like Ebwelf, who is, by the way, Ebwelf is a very good Black and White player. He was really good in like SPL 7. He had a really good record in Black and White, and I think he's like coming back. I hadn't seen any much of him these days, but if you go into his replays, first team, this is a variant of this one, and if you go here, this is this one. And as I said, valid. By the way, you can probably comment on this video and link replays of me using these teams. I have already said it before. I myself have used these kind of teams before. Where is it? Like if I go here, yeah. For instance, I used this one in ROAPL, and so yeah, I could say I'm part of the problem, even though I kind of adapt these teams to whatever my opponent uses. But yeah, I do understand it. These days I also find myself struggling a lot to come up with new teams, and this is also why This is also why I made the suggestion. Where is it? It is in suggestions. Where is it? Here, suggestions. I keep pestering these people to implement this, but I think it's a positive. If we could have an active ladder community, there's a small chance. There's a small chance that people will actually, build teams. Because if you are constantly, you go on the ladder and you are, you get, an active, a constant number of games, you can be like, okay, oh, this team I'm struggling with, so maybe I can, you get a feel of the tier. You can maybe come up with your own strategies to, circumvent those teams that you are struggling against. And or you see someone running a really wild team, and you see they're running a very innovative core, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna try that out, and people will go on the ladder and actually test it, because they're not playing tournaments, they don't have anything to lose. That's also the thing with tournaments, is that you have to, you cannot mess around. Usually you have to load the final product, you have to be sure of your team choices, and you cannot, fuck around, because if you fuck around, you find out. And yeah, that's very much what I wanted to say, I think. As I said, I'm not taking any jabs against the players. It's not their fault that the tier is the way it is. It is completely understandable if somebody doesn't really want to build in this. Like, why would they? If you have a tier that has a lot of solid and available teams for you, where is it? I have so many tabs open, kill me. Yeah, no shit, I have some here. Like, if you have a lot of readily available teams, why would you bother building? I mean, and you see that other people are already winning with these teams, so why even bother? That's the thing. So I don't know. Do I think that there should be some tiering decisions? Yes, but at the same time, if those are made, would they improve the tier out of like a dopamine rush of, seeing some change, or would they improve the tier because the change itself is actually good for that? You know what I mean? I don't know. I do acknowledge the fact that I am a very biased individual, and usually when people are suggesting, oh yes, we should do this, and then I just review that that tiering decision on a surface level. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Like, Marth wanted to have chlorophyll unbanned because I mean, honestly, sun isn't really good, but I'm not very sure if we should have chlorophyll unbanned. I don't know, but when that was brought up, I was like so on board with it, even though I hadn't established any sort of opinion beforehand. But yeah, I was like, yeah, sure, let's change it. Let's, add something to this tier because we need something to change, I guess. I don't know. But we could also have the opposite effect, in which we don't really do anything with the tier, and we sort of build a more active community in a ladder, and maybe we can see some change. Like, for instance, Oras hasn't really had any bans in many years, and I think that's a tier that has changed quite a lot. So I do wonder what's it gonna take for Black and White to actually leave that stale state in which it finds itself in. And yeah, that's very much it. If you have any comments, please tell me. I would love for there to be some discussion about this. Maybe in the future we'll see some tiering change. Maybe we'll have we'll get the medal system implemented into these who knows? Like I am craving content. I am craving some sort of change in this tier, whether it is through the community or through the tiering decisions. But we need something. That's it, guys. Have a nice night. Bye bye.